Machiavelli writes, usually, in most cases, those who desire to acquire grace before a prince make themselves come up to meet him with those things that among them are held most dear. Okay, let's stop right there. Now, if you were grading a high school student's essay, and the student wrote, the first 4 words in the student's essay was usually, comma, in most cases, comma, ... What would you write in the margin?
Redundant.
Redundant, exactly. Now, again, recurring to the principles here of approaching a great book. We all saw that when we looked at it carefully that this is redundant. Do you think that Machiavelli might be able to notice that?
Yes.
Okay. If he did notice it, and again, I'm saying if, right? This is not a great book's approach. We're not simply proceeding on the basis of a faith in Machiavelli's genius, but we recognize, even and especially in the cases with those thinkers, those great thinkers with whom we disagree, we recognize that we're in the presence of a mind far greater than ours. And so therefore, we always have to start out on the assumption he saw what we saw, therefore it's not a gaffe, it's intentional. If it's intentional, why? If it's intentional, why? Why is he doing that?
Yeah, what he's saying is, it is the custom most of the time. In other words, some of the time, in some countries, it is the custom for people who desire to curry favor, whereas in other places and times, it is not the custom. That's what I'm guessing.
Okay, and that is very possible. Let's proceed provisionally. I mean, one thing we know at the very least is that he somehow wants to call our attention through redundancy to what happens most of the time. At the very least, we don't know what it is, but at the very least, we know that. Is that fair?
I was thinking it was for emphasis, just to be totally clear to anyone that was reading this.
Okay, good. In other words, this is sort of grabbing. He wants to grab our attention at this point.
Similar to what Marianne was saying, I was thinking first he addressed the position, and secondly he was addressing Lorenzo Medici in person, as though they were not exactly at the same level of understanding.
Okay, and that could be a possible reason for his use of the redundancy. All I want to call our attention to now, because we don't know yet what the purpose is, or if there is a purpose, I just want to call your attention to the fact that right out of the gate, there's a redundancy, and that can't help but jar the reader to be alert to the terms that are redundant, and the terms that are redundant refer to that which happens most of the time.
One other possibility, I mean, when I read this, I interpreted it as perhaps something out of the translation where he was basically drawing a distinction between different levels of customary. In other words, other than saying certain things can be customary and certain things can be even more customary. So I thought perhaps he was basically saying this was like highly customary as opposed to just moderately customary.
Okay, and that's a possibility. Let's go on here and see if we can figure out what it is that happens most of the time.